But I had been on the air saying, oh, I think you'll see gay marriage before you see afternoons. I think you'll see a gay president before you see legal marijuana. Now, we've had, 46 presidents? One of them was gay, if not more. One of them at least was gay. So that's probably happened, but you know what I meant. I meant open. And I think that will happen, but it looks like we're going to get, legal marijuana has already been available in many, many states. And that's another reason why it made me crazy here. I said, whoa, wait a minute here. Let me get this straight. So I can take a flight or get in my car and drive to the District of Columbia, where the laws are made in this country, and buy marijuana legally. I can go to the heart of this country, where the laws are made, and I can buy it, walk out of a store, and I'm perfectly okay. But buying it in an alliance makes me a criminal? That was always asinine. 9:30 will get you in to see Lamb of God in Macedon. That shows in a couple of days. We'll get you in. We had been talking about the fact that recreational marijuana sales go into effect tomorrow. Now, before you head out to a dispensary to buy tomorrow, this is what you need to know. You must be 21 years old and have a physical ID. Wait, why? I must have a physical ID to buy marijuana? Why? I don't know, man. That sounds pretty limiting. Not everybody can get an ID, man. So if you're going to require people to have an ID in order to purchase things, I mean, not everybody can get an ID. That's pretty limiting. Not sure we can do that. I don't know. Sounds like somebody's up to their dirty tricks again. I'm, of course, being facetious. Because like I've always said, wait a minute. So I have to be a certain age to go into some place to buy something, and I have to be able to prove that I'm at that age, and I have to have this card from the government in order to prove that I'm that age. Yet, people are telling me I don't need that card to prove who I am or how old I am. That was going to be by the government to elect the people that decide the fact that I need that card to be able to do any damn thing. IDs for marijuana, not for voting? Yeah, you can count me all the way out on that. And I mean all the way out on that. Ridiculous. You must be 21 years old and have a physical ID. Now, Ohio just updated our ID rule. Wallet or Amplify. I don't use that, but I use my Apple Wallet. You could do it. Trying to buy underage would result in penalties similar to buying alcohol under the age of 21. You may now possess up to 2.5 ounces of marijuana in all forms except for concentrates. That you can have up to 15 grams. I assume by concentrates what we mean there is vaping. Marijuana has exploded over the last decade. It's gotten much, much bigger. You'll hear people refer to weed itself as flower, right? They mean the technical plant. These days, it seems like more and more people moving away from flower and getting into the vapes. I understand it. Occasionally, I'll hit a vape pen and be like, what? Man, like that stuff can take you to like this other thing, right? Like saying this because I don't like hearing it. I don't have a problem saying, I don't like hearing it. But I am what you would consider to be, more often than not, I'm going to smoke marijuana. More days than not. I want to stop short of saying daily, but it's pretty much daily. Now that sounds like a lot, doesn't it? Okay. I routinely buy less than 2 ounces a week. And yet I always find like I have enough in my house for anything I might want. I normally, when I buy, it's an ounce at a time, is normally how I do it. So you can have over twice what I choose to purchase. What the hell it is you're doing. Now, many dispensaries will only take cash due to some federal banking regulation, but they'll have ATMs in stores. Some of them will also be using third-party apps like Spender or Pay via phone. If I ID in my Apple Wallet, I'm going to assume that I could use Apple Pay, but it does not list Apple Pay here, so I want to stop short of saying that to you. They do have a list of places you'll be able to buy here. This is, of course, the state, so I'm trying to scroll here. I had a couple of these highlighted here. We have more than one location, but in this News5Cleveland.com article I'm reading right now, Zenleaf on Cleveland Avenue is one of the places we have listed. I saw another article yesterday that had a few. I may try to put some of that together and get that posted at my Facebook page for you guys. Okay, now as I've said, there will be negatives here. Are you going to smell marijuana more places you go? Yes. As a marijuana smoker, it's like, ugh. It's getting to that point. It is. Much like I used to smoke cigarettes. There were still bars I would be in as a cigarette smoker, like, somebody open a damn window in here. Like, just because you do something doesn't mean you love everything that's coming down the road with it, sorry. And I've said before, maybe too many times, some of you could probably finish this statement for me. Marijuana is what? It's an intrusive product. Now, if you're vaping or doing gummies or any of that kind of stuff, different. But if you're smoking flower, everybody knows. Heads over the weekend. They were in the backyard fire. I didn't know what they were doing. I walked out to smoke my joint on Saturday night. I heard from over the fence go, oh, that's right. He moved in next door to you, didn't he? 9:30, I'll get you in to see Lamb I Got in Mastodon. I'll have tickets today, tomorrow, Wednesday. Every Monday at 8 o'clock, we talk with the co-founder of WaitingForNextYear.com, my buddy Scott, who can be found on his X platform at WFNY. Scott, my man, how are you this Monday morning?
Doing well, man. Thanks for having me as always.
Always good to have you. Did you go to SummerSlam Saturday night? I know you're into the big-time wrestling, as my father called it. Were you at the SummerSlam?
Do you think I would miss the party this summer next time?
I did not think so, no. I assumed you would be front center.
When it comes to your town? No, it was a great day. I know there was a little bit of a thunderstorm warning heading into the week, but Mother Nature came in as clutch as Roman Reigns did to help Cody Rhodes retain the title. Everybody left happy.
That's exactly what I was looking for. Right there. That's exactly what I was looking for. Thanks for being a part of the show this morning, my man. We'll get to the Browns and Myles Garrett, where he ranked in the top 100 players. We'll get to all that here in a second. One of the things that happened since the last time I spoke to you, I believe this happened, was Jared Allen signing with the Cavaliers, 3 years, $91 million. And I'm interested to get an opinion from you here. I saw a lot of people on Cavs Twitter, now I know, take it with a grain of salt, talking about how this is a sign-and-trade piece for the Cavaliers, not looking to hold Jared Allen as an asset long-term. Do you think that's what they're doing?
So, it buys them flexibility, right?
Okay.
If you line it up with the rest of the contracts that have been signed, and you now have your window, right, for competing or contending, right? You have Donovan for roughly 3 years, depending upon him picking up that third. You have Jarrett obviously for 3 years at an established value, and you have obviously Evan Mobley at a very lucrative deal, which you could argue all three very much earned. For whatever reason, as this team, if they flail in any capacity, Jared Allen and Darius Garland have sort of tag teamed back and forth as the scapegoats as to why they, didn't succeed in a certain situation.
Yes.
So I do think people were waiting on potential transaction, like you said, but, I don't know if it's sign and trade, like, if fans are waiting for him to be dealt, like, before the start of camp, I think you're going to be very disappointed.
You don't see that happen.
But it does put you in a spot to figure out what you have. The Garland's already, he signed that deal a couple of years back. So, the core is set. But then, come trade time, when you're dealing and given the NBA's trade requirements and salary matching and all that kind of stuff, you can, it's going to give you a better idea of what's available to you, and other teams are going to know what they're going to have to pay him. If they trade for him prior to this deal, then you still have to get the deal done, right? It's kind of like the Jerry Jeudy thing prior, or to put it in NFL terms, what other teams are looking at now when they're looking at Amari Cooper, right? Or the Brandon Ayuk thing, right? I think is a really good way to, because your NFL teams are kicking the tires on this kid as a receiver.
Ayuk, we're talking now.
Yeah, Ayuk, but you don't. you have to trade for him and then figure out what you have to pay him once he gets here. Where Jared Allen's already paid, he has the contract, you know what you're in for, and it really limits the variability there. So it's good for both sides. It's exceptionally good for the player. He's more than earned it, and again, you just got to hope that the new coaching staff can make it work with the squad. They didn't really bring a lot of additions, that are making fans feel great about things compared to the rest of the NBA.
Talking to Scott from winningfornextyear.com, you brought up Brandon Ayuk. I see the Browns' name is kind of linked to him, but so are most teams around the NFL who could use some help. Is there any real smoke with this Brandon Ayuk 49er player maybe joining the Browns? Do you see a move to be made here? I mean, he's still under contract with them. But do you see this as a viable thing?
I mean, I think they have to be consistent in the running.
Okay.
I do believe they would love to have shored up the receiver room. I think they feel they did that with Judy, in some capacity. Obviously made a few highlight reel training camp catches yesterday that you may have seen online, which is great.
Yes.
You want to see that kid, play well, stay healthy, and all of the above.
Yeah.
The elephant in the room obviously is the Amari Cooper situation, and the good news is no team that's trading a Brandon Ayuk is then going to take on Amari Cooper. So if they do acquire Ayuk, they're going to have those three guys, right? It just depends on what they have to trade to get rid of or to acquire it, right?
Yeah.
I saw Wyatt Teller's name tossed out there earlier this weekend, and again, you're talking about a potential all-pro, perennial all-pro offensive lineman. That's really attractive to a team like San Francisco trying to keep Brock Purdy upright and get the ball to their variety of weapons, right? So, you have to be willing to let a piece like that go if you're going to acquire a talent the way, that Ayuk is. So I don't think they get it done. I think it ends up going somewhere else just because I don't think they want to break up what they have in Berea. Unfortunately, one of the other teams that are in the mix for this that you see bantered about is Pittsburgh as well, you don't want if you're not going to get him, you don't want someone in your division getting him, but that's sort of the way the NFL cards fall sometimes. So it's interesting, again, it's good things come to an end pretty quickly in the NFL, and you went from a team that had Super Bowl aspirations and would probably rather get rid of Deebo Samuel if they could, but Ayuk seems to be the higher value piece right now in the NFL, and we'll see what happens before the start of the season.
Talking to Scott from winningfornextyear.com, the NFL Top 100, this voted on by players, and Myles Garrett came out as number 5 on the list. I believe he was the number 1 defensive player, if memory serves, but I know he was number 5 on the NFL Top 100 list. Is that about where Myles should be? Do you think he's closer to 10 to 15, 1 through 5? How do you feel about that?
I mean, it's funny because when Pro Football Focus comes out with all this pro Myles Garrett stuff, you have
oh my God, dude, the Pittsburgh fans with that kid, it's like, dude, let it go.
Yeah, so the Pittsburgh fans are all about TJ Watt, right? And they hate Pro Football Focus and call it made-up stats. And then you go to the awards ceremony and, Myles Garrett.
Voted on by players.
And then you go, and then they have the front office, pieces that get, published during the content season of the NFL, and it's him again, right? And then now you have this, and so it's very clear that Myles Garrett is considered by everyone who knows what they're talking about in or around the NFL the best defensive player in football right now. I didn't expect 5. I was pleased to see that only because typically those polls and pieces tend to be very offensively skewed. A lot of quarterbacks, a lot of high-end receivers, occasionally a Christian McCaffrey. So I mean, just goes to show where the NFL feels that this kid is, or Kai, I should say, is
freak of nature. We should say he's massive.
Is considered among his peers, which is awesome, right? It's been a long time since we have a lot of players in Cleveland who we really value. But it's awesome to have a player of this ilk, probably since Joe Thomas, right? Where, he's just widely considered the best at his position, and he's a Cleveland Brown, which any super cool to fans. I saw videos of him, engaging with kids and stuff.
That was a great video.
Camp this week. I mean, there's there's so much to like about this guy, and it's awesome to have him in Cleveland. But please see him top 5. Not sure about Tyreek Hill at number 1, but that's then they make these lists so people can talk about him like we are for the next couple weeks.
Yeah, I felt like Tyreek Hill at number 1 is a little excessive, and it also feels a couple years late. If I'm honest, as you and I were talking about Myles Garrett, I'm talking with Scott from winningfornextyear.com. I'll ask you this question: who's the bigger Cleveland athlete right now? Jose Ramirez or Myles Garrett?
I mean, that's got to be Myles.
Is it because football matters that much more? Is that what it is?
Well, I mean, I don't know if you do a similar list in the MLB, where's Jose coming in? You know what I mean? I think, I it's just kind of, but baseball's just such a different sport. I think Myles, they're both equally important to the team's success. There's a lot more variability, obviously, in baseball, but I think Myles is first ballot Hall of Famer when he's done. I think Jose gets in eventually, kind of thing.
Okay, but he's gonna have to wait.
But I mean, you're picking nits at that point, right? I think Jose is tremendous. I think he is one of the best baseball players to ever play in this city, and which says a lot. You almost wish he was a part of those '90s teams because I think it would have been a lot of fun.
I think about that a lot. Yeah.
But no, I think it's maybe by a hair. But something happens to him week 1 or in training camp, like this team's aspirations for postseason just very much decline, right? I think it can happen, but you have to really have a lot of things go your way. Where Jose misses a couple weeks or something along those lines, I think there's a lot of support on this team. They probably don't have as high of a likelihood of success, but yeah, I mean it's by a hair on my end going with Myles. And to your point, just the ball is more important to the city. I think you gotta go with 95.
Yeah, 95 probably gonna get the edge there. Jose Ramirez, though, is beloved by Guardians fans, and he should be. He's got the right attitude. He's a great player. He kind of brings everybody along with him. I love Jose Ramirez. Can't get enough of him. And I was happy to see Myles come in at number 5. I feel like he's been dominant, and I felt like he was even overlooked maybe the first 2 years of his career. Now starting to get the flowers he deserves, as people much, much younger than me would say. That's Scott from winningfornextyear.com. We'll talk to him again next Monday at 8 after a preseason game between the Packers and the Browns. Buddy, we'll catch up again Monday at 8. Have a good week.
Talk soon, buddy. You too.
Always good to get his take on stuff, and I was glad he was at SummerSlam. I was like, man, I'm asking him a question I don't already have the answer to. Let's see if he was there. Sure enough, he was like, yeah, I was there, and it was great. Scott from winningfornextyear.com has upset Steeler Nation. Man, are they beside themselves. They just don't want to admit Myles is better, man. And I get it. That's how fandom works, right? If you're a fan of a band, best bassist ever, man. It's like, probably not, right? He's just playing bass in your favorite band. It's kind of how that goes. That's how fandom works. And that's what makes those conversations fun, right? A little debate amongst friends, screwing around, a healthy bet here and there. Which, I wasn't planning on talking about this, but let's do it. I saw there was a fantasy football punishment, and apparently that punishment is somebody had to sing on stage with Luke Combs. That doesn't feel like punishment to me. Now, if you're not a great singer, a little embarrassing, a little nervous, this and that, okay, fine. I don't know why Luke Combs is ruining his show for all of us because this idiot lost at fantasy football. Like that, I don't get. I don't really get that. But that doesn't feel like punishment to me. Hey, I'm on stage with one of the most famous people in the world right now. Hey, look at all these people are paying attention to me right now. That doesn't necessarily feel like punishment to me. Now, I did see this the other day with fantasy football, and I actually thought this was a good idea. So the draft is a big deal, much like it is in the NFL, right? You want the first pick. Let me get the best player. I would like Patrick Mahomes, please, right? And that's pretty much how the fantasy drafts work, right? You're trying to grab your quarterback, trying to get because really only the skill position players really is all that really matters, right? So you're trying to get a good running back and a good wide receiver, and I'll start this defense and do this. And I saw that there was a fantasy football league that was doing how you pick. The draft order was decided on by a 40-yard dash. That is kind of funny. And I understood why people film that and put that on, hey, this is what we're doing with our fantasy football league this year. You have to run the 40. That decides, and your finishing time will decide where you pick. Hilarious. Very funny. This is God. Years and years ago now. but I was living in Oregon at the time. And a young woman, Catherine, who was bartending for me, who was much younger than I was, had been on her high school track team, and she was also a track member at Oregon State. Go Beavers. And we were in the bar the one night, and I started arguing with her. I was like, I'm faster than you. And I knew I wasn't, right? Like, but I was like, I'm faster than you. She's like, let's go. And it was like 3 o'clock in the morning outside in the middle of the street, and we just ran. And I stopped about 30 paces, and I just kept, I let her go. I walked back inside because I knew I was never going to beat her, man. Me running a 40 would not be good. Like that's, I am a lot of things. Fast is not one of them. I'm not which kills me because slow makes me crazy. Like I'm a fast speaker, I'm a fast driver, I'm a fast walker. I'm a bad golfer, but I'll play fast. Like do people who suck and play slow, I don't get it. You can suck and play fast. What are we doing? I don't care about your wife, freaking hit it, right? Like dude, slow golf makes me absolutely freaking crazy. Cannot stand it, right? So like you would think I'd be quick, but I'm not. I'm not, I don't have the speed. My brother was the clear athlete in our family, but that I kind of like. I've seen the people who have to sit in like the Waffle House for 24 hours. That one doesn't necessarily, I mean, having to be stuck somewhere isn't great. And what you're going to see at a Waffle House at 4 a.m. feels like punishment. Like that for sure is true. Like, oh God, I should have been out of here before now. Like that kind of feels like punishment, but overall, that one doesn't really, that wouldn't have bothered me either. Singing with Luke Combs didn't feel like punishment at all. That felt to me like, oh, now I'm going to get highlighted. My TikTok will go viral. I'll probably get some, coin from some of the social networks for, having all the views and the like. I was like, I didn't quite understand that. Yeah, Steelers fans stole my message. You and Scott don't understand. TJ Watt is better. Myles Garrett. Oh my God, all those made up stats. Well, you're literally repeating what Scott said you would be. And sure enough, I've said it for 3 years. And I think I'm right about it. Now I think I'm right about it, right? So like, me thinking I'm right isn't a good benchmark. But I've said, if you offer up Myles Garrett and TJ Watt on the open market today, Myles Garrett is coming off that board first, without a doubt. And I think the players just showed you that. Well, the players also just told us Tyreek Hill is the most important player in the NFL. Yeah, that part was a little crazy. That part was a little nuts. I would still having the number one player in the NFL not be a quarterback is insane. Like it is kind of crazy because quarterbacks matter that much more. As a matter of fact, we can use Tyreek Hill to prove my point. Tyreek Hill went to Miami. They still can't win in January. When Tyreek Hill left Kansas City, everybody said, oh, now you're going to see Mahomes is done. Now you'll see it. We'll see weakness in that armor. Yeah, he won again. Now, he still has Travis Kelce, and here's the big one. Still has Andy Reid. That's the big one, right? But Patrick pretty damn good. He's pretty good, right? Yeah, he's pretty good. Patrick pretty good, right? Loses Tyreek Hill. Offense fine. Going into that Super Bowl, he's like, well, he doesn't have any wide receiver. Well, what are you going to do? What's he going to do? He's going to ball and win. That's what the best player in the NFL is going to do. He's going to put the rest of them dudes on his back, look at them all and go, dude, there's a reason why they give me the 15 jersey every week, man. It's because I'm Patrick Mahomes. I'm pretty good. You guys wearing another one? Under an hour, I'll get you in the Lamb of God in Macedon. That show about 4 days from now. So I'll have tickets today, tomorrow, Wednesday on the show. Also on Wednesday's show, slated to talk to comedian Chad Daniels. Get him on the program. We were talking concerts earlier this morning because we were talking ticket pricing, and it's because if you do it by like, what was it, price per minute, Taylor Swift actually comes in at like 20th most expensive because her shows are like 3 hours and 21 minutes long. You're paying like $240 average ticket price. Now, that's the average ticket price itself. You start bringing in the vendors in like this and that, yeah, $2,000 tickets are out there. I also somebody say to me, well, if you're really a fan of Taylor, you're probably buying day of, and you're getting face value tickets. I wrote right back and I said, well, this suggests you can get in day one. Normally, the higher the demand, that can be tough to do. So I'm not sure that's the reality. But we were talking about some ticket pricing. One of the things we didn't really get to is that a band I've referred to as American rock royalty is calling it quits. They're done touring. And I can't be all that surprised by it. They're not young, right? Steven's also had some off-the-stage stuff go down and resurface over the last couple of years, and I thought that may have had something to do with it too. It seems to be mostly about the health now. Peace Out Farewell Tour, I believe, was slated to hit Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. I believe that was, when were you supposed to get that? I think sometime soon. They're done. It was 1970 when a spark of inspiration became Aerosmith. Thanks to you, our Blue Army, that spark caught flame and has been burning for over 5 decades. Some of you have been with us since the beginning, and all of you are the reason we made rock and roll history. It has been the honor of our lives to have our music become part of yours. In every club, on every massive tour, and at moments grand and private, you have given us a place in the soundtrack of your life. We always wanted to blow your mind when performing. All right. Like, I love Aerosmith, but there was nothing mind-blowing from the stage. They're good, but, like, there was nothing mind-blowing. Okay. We always wanted to blow your mind when performing. As you know, Steven's voice is an instrument like no other. He has spent months tirelessly working on getting his voice to where it was before the injury. We've seen him struggling despite having the best medical team by his side. Sadly, it is clear that a full recovery from his vocal injury is not possible. We have made a heartbreaking and difficult but necessary decision as a band of brothers to retire from the touring stage. We are grateful beyond words for everyone who was pumped to get out on the road with us one last time. Grateful to our expert crew, our incredible team, and thousands of talented people who have made our historic runs possible. And a final thank you to you, the best fans on planet Earth. Play our music loud now and always. Dream on. You've made our dreams come true. They add here at the end, for those who purchase their tickets through Ticketmaster, you will automatically be refunded. There is nothing further you need to do. For those who purchase via third-party resale sites such as SeatGeek, StubHub, Vivid Seats, etc., please reach out to your point of purchase for more details. Meaning, on our hands, you shouldn't have bought them there. Like, this is essentially what that is saying. Got lucky enough to see Aerosmith a couple of good times. I saw them at the Palace on the Prairie, otherwise known as the Richfield Coliseum. And then on that same tour, the second leg of it, that's when the then Gund Arena opened. And they were one of the first artists to play the Gund Arena, if memory serves. I remember because Jackal opened that show up, and the Lumberjack, and here comes the Chainsaw. And it was like kind of perfect in that time, right? Because like Dazed and Confused, and what were they trying to do in Dazed and Confused? Heading into Houston in the morning, man. Got to get Aerosmith tickets. Top priority of the summer. And that summer, top priority for me and my buddies, got to get Aerosmith tickets, man. I got to get Aerosmith tickets, man. And they were great. Absolutely great. I've called them American rock royalty because I believe they are. When you start to really name the best bands in the history of music, most of them aren't from here. Zeppelin. No. Sabbath. No. Cream. No. No. Thin Lizzy. No. Turns out no. Right? And you start going up and down the UK. I mean, they just dominate. Thin Lizzy, yes. Ireland, I believe. But most of the great bands aren't from here. There are a lot of things that point this out, but this is what America's really good at.